There is
Yeah.
magic in PC gaming. It says, don't just obey the rules.
The problem with PC Gamer
It says,
is
don't just listen to
they
stories.
pretend a lot to
Inhabit
represent PC gamers, and I don't think
says,
they really do.
Don't just accept the limits, overclock beyond them. It says,
But I'll try to set that aside and be
revel in them.
pretty fair if I can.
It says, seriously, is every game battle royale now? Or is it just me? From mountaintops to dungeons, from deep waters
Dust
to
Elysium
deeper
Tale.
space, from solo quests to mass engagements, there is magic in PC gaming. Let's celebrate that magic together. This is the PC Gaming Show.
Man, limited run games did have
Now
enough to
your
make
host, Sean
a
Plott.
a conference.
Oh, hello to everyone online. Hello to everyone at the Will Turn. Welcome to the PC Gaming Show.
I haven't seen him in a while since I stopped watching
Yes.
Sword
My name's
Laser.
Dane, and I'm your host
No,
today.
not Sword
I am
Laser.
delighted to be here. We have a fantastic show for you this afternoon. First, all of you came out to the Will
Geek
Turn.
and Sundry.
Thanks for joining us. The Will Turn is just a beautiful venue here.
That's what I stopped
in
watching.
Los Angeles. To all of you online on Twitch, thanks for joining us. To those co-streaming partners, hey as well, I'm talking to you, Dropped Frames. Great to have you here. And of course,
Apparently,
to all the wonderful
no
sponsors that help make the PC
information
Gaming
on
Show
Double
come
Switch
back again for
25th
the 4th
Adventure.
straight year. Now,
PS4 is what I heard. Yeah.
good on you.
Darn it! Come to PC, please.
Now, I'm not the only host here this year. I have my co-op partner up in the balcony. It's Frankie Ward joining us today. How's it going, Frankie?
Hey, Sean. I'm going to be up here in the balcony with a bunch of creative new PC games coming your way.
So,
From Warfare's latest
I
update to
didn't watch the PC Gamer stream last year. Might as well just waste the time and watch it. It's either this or play Hearthstone. And I think this might be interesting. The thing I've complained about is the fact that that commentators really haven't been adding any information, and developers really haven't been saying anything. So if this is the place where developers are actually given time to talk, which that's generally what I think this series, this press conference, this show is all about, then I think that'd be kind of cool. PC Gamer Show is happening now, and Sony Interactive is happening in 3 hours from now, so we'll do that. Alright. Apparently Double Switch has also already had an iOS version. The thing about Double Switch is it's the graphics, since it's a QuickTime full motion video, it was never really going to be there's really not a lot to do to remaster that.
Joining me on the stage to talk about it is the game director at Coffee Stain Studios. It's Oscar Gilsayan.
It's a little weird. I was not expecting people to come on stage and talk about the games. I thought this would be more of a case of sitting around the table and discussing things.
This factory is essentially about building these huge automated factories. So you play as an engineer that's been sent from Earth to this alien planet, and you're going to build this enormous machine. It was hinted at.
It's called SAS Factory.
And to build that, you need a whole ton of parts, which you need to build machines that will make them for you. So you'll start out pretty simple with a few machines.
I think that's the name of the game.
Expand until you finally need to start cutting down trees and replace them with like
Still trying to go through the news.
And you know, for people who haven't played this type of game, can you give me an example of what producing a more advanced resource might look like?
Right. After a while, you'll need to.
I imagine there's probably a handful of other games that
at that point, you'll have some copper
haven't.
Wires and cables.
They got announced and I just missed them. They weren't announced on the big press conferences.
Build some oil pumps and oil refineries and set up a transport with self-driving vehicles between the outpost and your factory.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that scale because there's a lot of games where you build a house or a small town. How much area are we talking about where all your factories will exist?
Oh, this factory will grow enormous. The main part, which will probably be the biggest, will start spreading more and more and more.
The National Video Game Museum is at E3 apparently to give attendees a dose of retro gaming goodness. I don't know what they're really going to. Well, there was a E3 hashtag and an E3 2018 hashtag on Twitter. I could have used those.
Why first person?
We wanted it to feel like the player is the one building the stuff.
Yeah.
And when you've built a bunch of stuff, and you can see these enormous buildings, structures towering above you. But also when you go out and explore, you'll be the one, like, you go through the underbrush.
I don't even know what my tweets are, actually.
It even looked like there's a lot more to
wasn't paying attention to that.
Yeah. The map is, we made a point to make it big and varied.
Yeah.
And it's about 30 square kilometers in size.
As far as when I went live a few hours ago, what was that tweet? What did it say? It probably said Hearthstone.
So you'll start up a server and play with your friends.
Great. Now tell us, how do we get our hands on this game?
So we got a closed alpha planned in the coming months, so you can sign up for...
Apparently transference no longer requires VR. Good.
You'll know.
Good idea. Good for any game
That is
developer.
satisfactorygame.com. Now, up in the balcony, Frankie, I understand you have our very first indie title of the day.
We do indeed, Sean, because here's something we love about the PC platform. It's such fertile ground for creative ideas from small teams. NeoCab is an emotional survival game set in the future about gig labor, tech disruption, and the experience of being a driver for hire. Perhaps the last of your kind. From the brand new indie studio Chance Agency, let's watch the first gameplay trailer for NeoCab.
Need to really pay attention to what they're saying. I did not catch the name of that game they just announced. NeoCabs. So I'm not sure what kind of game this really is. Seems like you're playing as an Uber, and I really don't have a good feeling for games that feel like they're just you're doing a job. So, you play as a new Uber because that is relatable to
believe it or not, is in the Battle Royale genre. Of course, it's E3 2018, what do you expect? We have several Battle Royale games we're going to be talking about today because the Battle Royale format is very simple and very flexible. Players play in an ever-shrinking space until there's one last standing. So developers have already been doing all kinds of different explorations of what this could possibly be. And our very first Battle Royale game that we'll be introducing today has up to 1,000 concurrent players. It's from Automaton Games. Let's look at Maverick's Proving Grounds.
Like the NeoCab game probably is the Western equivalent of a short visual novel. Does it need to be called Maverick's Proving Grounds, or is it just called Proving Grounds? Is this a PUBG? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? So far, this looks like another brown, bland-looking first-person shooter game. The problem with everything being Battle Royale is you've taken the heavily overplayed first-person shooter genre and added very little in the form of a Battle Royale mode. And we're seeing some buildings here. And that's kind of it. They're not amazingly well designed buildings. Or well laid out buildings or thought out buildings. It is called Maverick's Proving Grounds.
Joining me on the stage to talk about Maverick's Proving Grounds is the CEO of Automaton Games. It's James Thompson.
Did he just mispronounce it, or is it Provings?
James, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, I want to immediately ask, what about Maverick's Proving Grounds distinguishes itself from other Battle Royale games?
Yeah, well, as you said, it's a very popular formula, and you know that last man standing kind of game type is incredibly compelling by itself. But Mavericks is really about depth. You know, we've already talked about 400 players before, and we're sort of super excited today to talk about.
I think there's a game on Steam probably already called Proving Grounds.
But really, it's about
Let's
depth
see.
as well. It's about the fact that that environment is even a bigger step, the simulation and those elements sort of combining together.
Yeah,
We'll just
zoom in right on
quickly
the
search
1,000
Steam for
players
Proving
aspect.
Grounds.
How does that really shift the dynamic?
There's
from
America's
the
Army's
100
Proving
that we're typically
Grounds.
used to?
Well, it's really about combining scale with
I
depth
guess
of
it doesn't
simulation, so the fact
have
that
anything
together, what you actually have is a
coming
landscape
directly
that
by
means
the
making
name
decisions
just
of
Proving
a lot more
Grounds, though.
information.
Yeah, I mean, because you hinted at that twice now. Like, what do you mean by there's a lot more information in the environment for players to process?
So take a concrete example, right? So
Day
let's say
9,
players walking through the map, they'd be leaving
not
footprints of the spacing foliage.
a great
or
interviewer
offensive,
because he's
with
not a great
siege-style gameplay in
actor.
houses, that's like a lot of
He
disruption
might be a
to
good
sort
streamer,
of together make the map.
Yeah,
but
Much more of a dynamic
it's like
environment.
a recent history of who could have been here.
Yeah.
You know, I want to ask about
But I
what
don't-
more is in store for Maverick's Proving Grounds.
I don't
understand
believe
this
that
is
he's
a
doing
lot
anything
outdated
more than
features
reading
from my
questions
perspective.
off
Yeah,
the
so it's
note
not just that
cards he has in
space-based
front of
gameplay,
him,
you
which
enter
is
the
kind of
game through
unprofessional,
Capital,
but
which is our sort of
that's how
persistent
they're
social
doing
hub.
it.
So we draw from the MMORPG side of things. It's really it's a full world, not just a map. You know, so it's got a persistent
One
gameplay
trick here
style.
you could do is you could
But really, it's about bringing this all together.
do a
into something
shoulder over the
that's
shoulder
more
shot,
immersive.
have them at a
Go
table,
to find out
have
more.
Day 9 on one side, have the girl on the other side, have each one of them either looking at a teleprompter that's the camera can't see off in the distance for questions, or looking at notepads or a notes that are like through the table or under the table, and then you could have switch to
Frankie tell us about it?
switch to day 9, and he'll have hidden his notes and ask the next question. And then she could be reading the next note going, oh, I'm supposed to ask this. And so all she has to really do is know where she's at. That would have worked pretty well. Make it look like you had 2 rather interested people asking questions on one developer. And then frankly, you could probably have another developer in the room too to help them answer questions. What's the name of this game?
I'm so sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, that you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place. An ancient underground city. Its existence long forgotten. Searching for a way out. All I found is a window into the past. If even one person here commits a sin, everyone will die. I tried to set things right, but whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. It's all up to you now.
Like, what?
Investigate. Talk to everyone.
So which god is defining which sins?
Bend the rules as far as you can. Figure out who's responsible for this. And maybe you can do what I never could.
Oh, there was a
Save these people.
Skyrim
The many
mod.
shall suffer for the sins of the one.
The Forgotten City. Interesting. That's like a Skyrim mod, I think,
PC gaming show.
that has just been turned into its own game.
And an unannounced game from
I have to
True
really
Interactive.
applaud that idea.
And now your host, Sean Plott.
Our next game is a blast from the past. It's not a sequel or prequel or remake, but rather an entirely new game altogether. Let's take a look at
Unless I'm-
Stardock's Star Control Origins.
Unless I'm thinking of something,
Long ago,
unless there's another game that the Forgotten City is based on.
lifted into something beyond our understanding.
Stardock's Star
Known as the left
Control.
Earth.
Last time
In our solar system.
I heard Stardock was in like a lawsuit with
Welcome to
the people who claim to be the creators and developers of Star Control.
tasked with the exploration of
And
our
so
solar system
there's
and the defense.
apparently some question on whether or not
Besides the world's brightest minds,
some of these Star Control games were being sold legally.
strong curiosity to
But I guess
discover
the courts have either
Help us pioneer the
answered that question or haven't answered that question enough to provide any kind of injunction that says you can't sell it.
Star Control has accelerated the construction of our new modular deep solar system vessel specifically for this mission.
This looks a lot better than what the last Star Control game I saw was. They're really old games, but they still are, I think, strategy space games. And I'm not sure I'd particularly want to play them.
A new alien in a delightful new spaceship.
You must be humans. We've heard so much about you.
Star Control Origins. Interesting.
Joining me to talk about Star Control is the director of production at Stardock, Patrick Shaw. Thanks for joining me on stage today, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So now just tell us straight up, what is Star Control all about?
So Star Control is an open universe action RPG. You can visit dozens of aliens, hundreds of different stars, thousands of different unique planets, and you can land on each and every one of them. And when you're driving around the planets, you can jump over canyons, blast critters, and then you can venture out into the solar system and do ship-to-ship combat with hostile aliens.
And I want to ask,
so this presentation will probably be very interesting to see if there's some controversy based on this game
really
announcement.
Excited about the story that we prepared for Star Control. It's funny, it's creative, but also has some dark, sinister side to it. However, what we're very proud and very excited about is we have an infinite universe. That is, we are fully simulating the entire universe.
I really should have watched the PC gaming show last year. I'm already only 3 or 4 games in, and there's already a list here of games that I could and should have put on my wish list. There's a bunch of E3 games that I'm definitely wishlisting just to keep an eye on them to see where they are. Of course, I may come back and find reviews or see the Steam reviews them directly and say this game's not worth playing or buying.
Shit, that's a lot of pressure, Patrick.
Ah, yes, that reminds me. One of the games that wasn't mentioned at the Bethesda show was The Evil Within 2. So no DLC for that, and
so someone else can take care of Firefly Season 2. That's up to you. Now, last thing I want to ask about is how multiplayer works.
Right. So in the game we have ship-to-ship combat, and that turned out to be so popular in our early testing. They're like, we should make a separate gameplay mode. So we did. We called it Fleet Battles.
The Evil Within series, I guess, is either nowhere close to having a third game or is not going to have one at all.
Or online, ranked or online play.
Where can people go to pick up Star Control?
But you would have thought they should have mentioned it. They should have said something.
Well, lovely. Guys, definitely be sure to head over to starcontrolgame.com and check them out on Steam and GOG as well.
And one more thing. We are happy to announce at the PC Gamer Show that Star Control Origins is launching on September 20th, 2018.
Look for it on September 20th. Now, our next game was PC Gamer's favorite game from E3 last year. It is Hunt Showdown from Crytek. Let's take a look at what's coming for Hunt Showdown just after E3.
So Crytek, it's kind of weird. You go from Stardock, a very small company, to Crytek, who you would at least think is a much larger company with Crysis and all of that. Although there hasn't been a major Crysis game in a while. And very, very few games using the Crytek engine these days, too. Just as a programming note, the reason why I'm not listing a lot of these dates that are getting mentioned, because some games are getting dates, is because frankly I don't believe them. It's just that simple.
Now, Hellfire, in fact, sorry, Archangel was
Archangel,
originally
Hellfire.
a single-player narrative game, but Hellfire, this new edition, what changes is that going to make?
Well, players really loved the single-player narrative, but they all kept telling us the same thing. They said, we really want it multiplayer, and we want it off-rails. And we kind of thought, that's a completely different game, but let's give it a shot. And so we got a crack team together. They put something really special. We got 4 maps. We got 6 different
Not sure
mechs.
I'm spelling that
tons
right.
of weapons where you could just blast through the environment and other mechs alike. And it's really just an amazing experience. You can zip around in your mech.
I wish I knew what Archangel Hellfire was.
And when is this coming out of early access? So you just said we can try it right now, but you've got the full version launching soon, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's coming out in July 17th. But you could try it right now if you want in early access. Help us iron out and break some along the process.
Know what this game is.
I think people at home can see, Guy. But as a heavy mech woman, I can't wait for you to be my light mech wingman in that 2v2 PvP. So let's take a closer look at Archangel Hellfire.
Let's do it.
It sounds like it's a mech game, which is kind of a shame. Well, I could certainly see, since it is a mech game, you would want multiplayer in a game like this. It's like a poor man's Titanfall, which arguably the poor man's Titanfall.
Our next title is one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. It's from the makers of Sherlock Holmes, and it's a delightful looking Lovecraftian mystery.
Which one?
It's called The Sinking City, and joining me to talk about
there's been a couple of Sherlock Holmes games
Sergey Oganisyan.
made.
Welcome, Sergey. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank
you.
You've
earned a handshake.
Yeah, you nailed that pronunciation.
Sinking City.
I love that you lie to me so kindly. You know, I want to ask right away, the Sinking City, you know, there's a lot of open world.
See, Day 9 also has that crude, slick doublespeak, that California doublespeak, the lack of sincerity, that frankly can be a little off-putting. I'd prefer him to be more professional, and he's kind of the opposite of professional. You can put a suit on him. You can announce him as Sean Plott, and he immediately walked out and said, "Hey, I'm Day 9." Which there's certainly a bigger argument about if you're going to be professional, use your real name, says the person who doesn't use their own name on their YouTube channel.
Instead, we will give you information, hints, evidence, like clues, crime scenes to examine, like people to talk to, suspects to question, and we will ask you in return to use your wits and your intuition to, experiment with your findings, maybe like find a way.
This game's The Sinking City looks a little interesting, but also is suffering from dark screenshot syndrome.
Also help you maybe change the course of your investigation.
Really dark looking.
The footage that
gameplay
I've seen has just been absolutely beautiful. Talk to me about the world that we're in and what investigation is at the core.
So the game takes place in this fictional city of Oakmont in the state of Massachusetts. The city which is flooded. There is a terrible disaster going on which has claimed like thousands of lives. And also, it seems like it awakened frightening monsters which now roam the streets of Oakmont. People that live in the city, they are very different.
Why not?
Social classes.
Maybe all these games are just supposed to be played in totally dark rooms, but right now I have all the lights on and I'm watching the TV, and it's hard. It's hard to see the details.
And what's even funny is that while everybody is afraid, nobody wants to leave. But this is kind of a different story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked a little bit about the story world and how it's inspired by Lovecraft. What about the game mechanics? You've mentioned the sanity mechanic in the past.
Indeed, we do have a sanity mechanic which directly impacts gameplay. When our hero is under a lot of stress, when he sees like something supernatural, something disturbing, or even when he's making a choice in the story which he's not comfortable with making,
I've been sitting for too long now.
He's like,
this
he will
is
start to have hallucinations.
workplace
which will
danger, poor for health and safety.
Right
Sitting for so long watching a stream.
Still looking, for the sweet spot between impact on the gameplay and impact on the story.
Since we're almost out of time, I still just have to ask, what are the sweet monsters that we're going to get to see in the game?
Oh, we have different kinds of monsters. We have different kinds of archetypes, with different abilities. And, we actually give you tools. The game is not about fighting monsters. Investigation is the core of the game. But we give you tools to defend yourself. So we give you weapons, we give you skills, we give you even certain, like, traps. In return, we ask you that you make a decision.
There is a Beyond Good and Evil. No, that's Beyond Good and Evil. No, that's not. The Evil Within.
So I know a lot of people have all sorts of questions about
I guess that might be why they didn't mention Evil Within. There's too many games with evil in the name.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. This is where we post our updates regularly. Facebook, The Sinking City Game. YouTube, Frogwares. So go there, and this is definitely the place to go if you want to learn more.
Well, I'm super excited personally to see how it turns out. Thanks for joining me on stage, Sergey. Sinking City.
Sorry. Clicked on the video. Shouldn't have clicked on.
Our next game is a PC title that has only gotten better over the
So,
last few
to
years.
be fair,
I'm excited to hear what they have in
I'm
store.
mostly
Frankie
not
is
paying
up on
attention
balcony with the developers
to what's
of
happening during the
Warframe.
stream, and I'm
Well,
browsing
we all know
Twitter.
The PC is home to some of the most devoted communities in gaming, and one of the best
So
undoubtedly
maybe
belongs to Warframe.
the short and
Last
sweet
year, the game got its first open world update, Plains of Eidolon, and the next epic cinematic quest is called The Sacrifice. We've got the exclusive launch trailer for you.
short and sweet presentation that we saw at Microsoft and even Bethesda and the other presentations is better than what they're doing here. This looks interesting. I wish I had caught the name of it. Warframe: The Sacrifice.
Megan Everett, Community Manager at Digital Extremes, joins me now. Megan, tell me more about The Sacrifice.
So The Sacrifice is the latest installment of our cinematic quest. It continues a story that we started in The Second Dream, continued with The War Within, and then Apostasy Prologue. So at the end of last year, we kind of shattered some hearts and left them with a bit of a plot twist, and I'm not going to spoil it for people who want to maybe catch up. But what I can say is that...
Interesting question. Should I catch up and play Warframe?
Warframe is finally over.
Apparently, Wasteland,
at the end of
the
trailer,
30th
Valve
anniversary,
plays a pretty big role in this quest.
is
Again, not gonna
on
spoil
sale
a
as a
lot,
bundle.
but I can say
I'm not sure that's
that
a
it's coming this week on
remaster.
And you guys are actually currently waiting, well, as well as the update, you're
This lady on the right, a great example of why not to get tattoos on in general. Like, she could have also worn long sleeve shirt and covered up that tattoo.
Can you tell me anything about this Umbra thing that's
This lady on the left and the guy on the right now. Apparently everybody has a tattoo related to Warframe.
It was pretty amazing. Like, it's a whole new direction for Warframe.
There's the
all this. You got all these other
Angry
games coming
Joe.
out. This one's free.
When's 2018 happening?
Needs to wear something different besides a stupid Superman shirt. Like, that's a great example where if he had just worn the Superman shirt every third or fifth presentation video he made, it would have, he could have at least cycled between several different outfits. But now he's so known as wearing that one jacket and that one shirt that he's trapped, and his fans would probably be very upset with him if he changed his appearance.
And we actually, like, as people were cheering, it's pitch black on stage. Rev and I look at each other and we just kind of fist pump and both started crying because we didn't crash the demonstration. So if you watch 10 Alive this year, if you're there, you can definitely probably count on some tears and some emotions because it's a really big day for us.
So basically, bring tissues, right?
Bring tissues for yourself, for me, for everyone involved, because there will be some tears probably.
But if you can't get to TennoCon because unfortunately it is sold out, how can you watch it online?
So on twitch.tv/Warframe, you can definitely check it out. And PC Gamer is also hosting as well on their Facebook and Twitter.
And you get free stuff by watching Twitch?
You do. So if you want to
See, a lot of these articles I'm seeing right now are based on information that was given out early, because there's no way that
thank you, Auntie Megs. Sean, it's over to you.
Thank you, Frankie, and thank you, Warframe. The next name is one I grew up with, Sega. They've become a prolific publisher of Japanese games known for their fully featured
I lost my train of thought. I woke up too early today. Like, oh yeah, clearly some of these articles that I'm seeing on Twitter right now had to have had information early. You did not just get the images, get the screenshots, and write up an entire announcement based on 5 seconds after it's been announced. Okay, I'm seeing Vanquish, Bayonetta, and Puyo Puyo Tetris. And Shenmue, right? This one's Shenmue? Shenmue 1 and 2. Let's see. Shenmue 1 and 2. Shiny Resonance. Bayonetta. This is the other one, Yakuza Kiwami. Can I make both of them? I guess. This is Full Metal Jacket, I think. Oh, Valkyria Chronicles. Boy, was I off on that one. Let's see. Yakuza 6, let's guess. Yakuza 0. So how many of those are coming to PC?
Zero is available for pre-order right now and will be releasing on Steam in early August.
Like, because Bayonetta is already on PC.
We have so much more great stuff to come. Let's see what's coming up at this year's PC Gaming Show.
Coming up on the PC Gaming Show, a new publisher reveals 3 new games, and the first ever gameplay footage of Overkill's The Walking Dead. And now your host, Sean Plott.
And I'm back.
I kind of wish I'd take a longer break.
Our next guest is a regular here at the PC Gaming Show, having attended all 4 years. Frankie's with him up in the balcony. It's Tripwire.
Sean, if you are anything like me, you probably need to let off steam every once in a while. And I personally can't think of a better way to do it than by kicking back and tearing up a load of monstrous enemies. It's kind of either that or pushing the office photocopier out of the window, and I, for one, prefer the option that keeps me and everyone here in a job. With that in mind, I am thrilled to welcome Bill Monk from Killing Floor 2 back to E3.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Got a lot of fans in the audience still.
Yeah.
Listen to that applause.
Yep.
They all want to know what the latest from Tripwire and Killing Floor 2 is.
Yep, we've been really busy working on Killing Floor, and we got 4 major updates that are coming out this year. The first one we dropped in March, and we're getting ready to drop the next one really soon.
Coming tomorrow, Bill. What's involved?
Yeah, so we're bringing the summer sideshow back, but this time we're mixing circus freaks with steampunk in a really fun, exciting way. And we have a really cool new system that we're adding. It's called the Weapon Upgrade System. And
what game are they talking about?
73 different weapons that we have in our game, and each one you can upgrade it and make it viable for late play. So it really adds a lot of creativity to your loadout. So I'm really excited to get that in people's hands.
So you can make your boy guns big.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Bill. Let's take a look at the trailer for Treacherous Skies Summer Sideshow.
What? It's called Treacherous Skies Summer Sideshow?
Welcome aboard the HMS Queen Victoria, ladies and gents. Ringleader Lockhart speaking to you from, well, someplace very safe, yes. You helped me escape that fray at my beloved Steamland, but now I need your help once again. I've got to get to my island in the channel. Now, listen up. I don't know how, but these blasted circus freaks...
This looks like Killing Floor.
I think it's time to put on a show. Yes, of daring deeds and horrendous bloodshed. Oh, poor me. My mechanical children have turned against me. even removing the head will put these rebellious robots down. But take heart, lads and lasses. I have invented some new toys. The Doomstick. 4 barrels are better than 2. The Static Striker. A shockingly stylish set of gauntlets. And the M99 Sniper Rifle. And finally, there's a last-minute addition to the crew.
Watch this woman go.
Seems Mrs. Foster negotiated her way on board and is set on giving Zed
You won't like me angry.
the business. And remember, we'll see you on the airship.
Yeah, this one's really not
Foxy,
catching my
joke
attention.
for you. Optician says my eyes are okay. I say, then how do you explain my husband?
Killing Floor 2. It is
Now,
Killing Floor 2.
As is tradition, the content that you just saw will be available tomorrow, including a free weekend for PC this weekend. Definitely check it out with Killing Floor 2. But that's not all that Tripwire has. I have the president of Tripwire himself, John Gibson, on stage. John, welcome back again.
Thanks, Sean. Pleasure to be here.
Now, I understand that Tripwire is stepping into also doing publishing. What does that entail?
That's right. So, Sean, it's really challenging for developers right now with the thousands of games that are coming out every year.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get noticed. And then you have the traditional publishing deals. So we're giving developers fair deals. We're going to be helping them rise above that noise so they can get noticed. And because of our experience developing our own games and publishing our own games, we're going to help them with marketing, funding, mentoring, feedback to help them succeed.
Yeah, I mean, the game that we have on screen is one of those games. This is Road Redemption.
That is right. I'm happy to announce that we're going to be publishing Road Redemption. We're going to be helping them grow and succeed even more on Steam, but also bring the franchise beyond Steam.
So,
I know today you have a world-exclusive new game. Hasn't been announced
We
yet.
do.
Sega
So we roll the trailers. Why don't you
is
give me a little bit of a
publishing
Yeah, so we're working
games.
with the team at Blindside Games. And
Interesting.
they're led by Alex Quick.
What?
So if you're familiar with the Killing Floor universe, you know Alex Quick was the modder that
Like
created the original Killing Floor
Sega's-
mod, which Tripwire worked with Alex to bring commercial, and then Alex went off, assembled his own team.
Wait a minute,
made
is
the
this
game Depth,
Sega
with sharks and
talking?
humans fighting each other, very, very successful.
No,
But now it's
I don't
come
think it
full
is.
circle. We're working with Alex again, and we're going to bring
So
his all-new
Tripwire
game to
is
market.
gonna fund
Take a look
and
at it
publish,
right now.
try to be a publisher.
World-exclusive new upcoming game from
Yeah.
Tripwire.
Remember, it only costs $100 to put a game on Steam, and then you probably should do some advertisement too. While you're at it, you know, maybe
Close your eyes
half the budget of what you spent, or the same amount of money you spent
and the beaches are white.
uh,
A place filled with southern charm.
to
The water is as warm as the welcome.
develop the game.
So come feel the wind in your sails. Kick back and relax. Enjoy the local cuisine. Your dream vacation is waiting for you here on the Gulf Coast.
Are you playing as a shark, it seems? I think we could always use one more Jaws game.
.com now to book your vacation. Operators are standing by.
Maybe not the best name ever.
So hey, John, so you get to play as the shark.
You are the shark. This is an open world action RPG where you play as a shark, or as we like to call it, a shark PG.
Oh, nice. Okay, so do you like upgrade and improve the shark? Is there like skill trees?
You do. There is a shark skill tree. Really?
Yeah, they're laughing at it now, so
You eat your way through it.
question.
You get bigger teeth. You can jump out of the water and snatch people off piers and all of that fun stuff.
I didn't realize this was a power fantasy I needed so badly. Now, where can people go to get more information about it?
They can go to maneatergame.com.
All right. I doubt anyone will forget that here.
Now somebody's mowing the lawn.
John, thanks so much for joining
Outside
me on
their
stage.
lawn,
And
outside.
once again, all the content that Tripwire showcased earlier about Killing Floor 2 and Road Redemption will be playable here at E3. Definitely be sure to check it out. Coming up next, Frankie has a whole slew of unannounced games. Frankie,
Cheers, Sean. Man-eater looking tasty there, and I can't believe they named a game after my favourite weekend activity. Indies are at the heart of PC gaming, and next up is a brand new publisher revealing 3 games for the very first time, releasing
that didn't play
one
well
that
as a
hates
joke.
themselves audience today. So let's take a look.
That's up there with the Bethesda dirty joke by Todd Howard. Curating games for you right now. We're announcing 1, 2, 3 games today, and we're releasing 1 game right away. Who are you? I didn't catch the beginning of this. Untitled publisher. See, that almost seems like a Steam troll name. Like, I'm gonna just say Untitled Publisher is the name of the publisher, and then a bunch of other people are gonna say Untitled Publisher is the name of the publisher. This looks alright so far, but I'm not sure the game actually play. Actually, I'm pretty sure the game couldn't play like this. They're taking some very sharp Dutch angles with the camera that is just not going to work. That's probably a boring game that's nobody's gonna play. And this is a 3D version. Well, for a second there, it looks like Stardew Valley. But apparently not. Morning Star. Like, probably also a game nobody will ever play, just because I this Untitled Publisher game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Steam gives them trouble and tells them that they have to pick a different name. I'm a little surprised that you could file an LLC, a limited liability corporation, or doing business as form, if it's a sole proprietorship, under the name Untitled Publisher. And this one has NES era pixel graphics with red and black, so it kind of looks like a Virtual Boy game.
All these games look like must-plays. And Overwhelmed, the final game of the bunch, is available on Steam right now.
So the least interesting one
so make sure you check
is
that
out right now.
And if you're at E3 this week, head over to the PC Gamer corner of the Facebook booth inside the South Hall to give Overwhelmed a try. Right. Next up, it's time for us all to take a holiday, and where better than a virtual resort with some truly spectacular wildlife. Back again this year, our friends of the show, Frontier Developments, with a unique take on the park management genre. I am, of course, talking about Jurassic World Evolution. The long-awaited game is out tomorrow and lets you build your own dinosaur-stuffed tourist trap. What could possibly go wrong? Unleash the Goldblum!
Next game, Jurassic World Evolution.
Things are going to turn out differently, huh? Well, the ones before you did too. Because they believed that they were in control. And control... Well, here's the thing. Humanity is desperate for it. We are seduced by it. deceived by the illusion of it. But we never really possess it. Because if there's anything that chaos theory has taught us, it's that nature is on its own course. And when we interfere, when humanity tries to put nature into orderly boxes, chaos destroys them. And what makes us such unique creatures is knowing the scope and power of what we're up against and still believing that we can win. I know, however, what I would predict.
I am so excited for that
Pretty much
game.
has to be the last Jurassic World game.
Is from
I mean, movie that comes out.
Years, and they're gonna try to take their expertise
I don't know where you take it if you're not going to go crazy and put
open world game in
dinosaurs in space.
Look at their upcoming game, Stormland.
Or just have the entire planet constantly overrun with dinosaurs. Stormland. Maybe an interesting game. Maybe not. It's from a known developer, Insomnia Games. You're playing as a robot, so you don't. You have a different level of animation and textures there. You're not looking at bland-looking military guys or people in metals, suits of armor. Seems like this is going to be a post-apocalypse. By far. Which then kind of begs the question, are you even on Earth, or does it really even matter if you're still on Earth at that point? If it drastically doesn't look like Earth. The problem with a robot character in showing a trailer like this is that it is possible that the character playing as had a bunch of his memories erased, and a lot of time and a lot of actions have taken place in between the cutscene we saw before he was shot and the cutscene we saw where he woke up from assumedly being shot. So it's a co-op first-person shooter with hovering things like Anthem. I still don't think the hovering elements add anything. Is this a multiplayer game, or is this just a single-player game? It's got to be a single-player game if you're doing it all in VR. And that's not gonna be, it cannot possibly be that long of a game. Because you just cannot stay standing long enough to play VR games. Maybe if it's a sit and play with VR, you could try to make it into a 5 to 15 hour game, but I still have yet to see any game really even try that.
Start right away and ask, what is this game all about?
Well, in Stormland, you play as an android gardener, and an entity called the Tempest uproots your habitat
at least Sega
and
Atlas
shatters your android body.
has just
so you've got to travel
said
to
when their
civilization above
live
the
stream is
Thunderheads
happening,
to repair yourself and save your friends.
which,
And I want to ask what open world means in VR.
let's see.
Well, For us, it's about
It's
giving
tomorrow.
the player the ability to explore the world freely with a set of
Am I gonna
Android
stream
movement
tomorrow
abilities
too?
that are designed to
Yeah.
have complete agency.
Yeah, because that's always a huge question I have. Is how
At
does
like
motion
1,
work in any VR
maybe.
title?
We'll see.
Yeah, well, in Stormland, you can do things like fly just above the slipstream with your outstretched Android hands.
Maybe not.
You can shoot a laser into the cloud surface and then make a ramp.
Seems
hit
like-
off of that. Climb up a cliffside,
like,
literally launching
if
yourself
they are
with your
actually
synthetic
gonna stream,
Android strength, and then like push off and
that
glide
they're
back down
not
using your
showing
hands
anything
to control your
too
descent.
new.
It's massive freedom of movement, yeah.
That's it. It's this set of mechanics that are designed together to work fluidly so that movement feels exhilarating.
Yeah.
And you can kind of take the world at your own pace with it.
I'm curious why VR for this type of title?
There are a series of things that we're doing with Stormland that we could only do in VR. It's about the expressiveness of having tracked head and hands and how we use that for combat, how we use it for movement. Even things like scavenging technology to attach it to your body. Like you look down, you get a new piece of tech, and you attach it right into your arm, and then suddenly you've got the ability to harness electricity or cloak yourself, or all kinds of different cool Android abilities.
I mean, the art is just beautiful in the footage that we've seen. I wonder if you can talk to me a little bit about the world and what it means for it to be ever changing.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So that entity called the Tempest rearranges everything every single week, so that we present the player with new playgrounds of movement and combat and scavenging, and you never know what you're going to discover.
Every week, the world is randomized.
It has the potential to hide an enemy stronghold or a network of underground caverns.
So that you come back playing the game.
Awesome. Now, I got to ask, where can we go for more information?
Well, you can stay tuned by watching the Facebook and Twitter with @StormlandVR, or you can check us out at insomniac.games.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for joining me.
Why is he
once again, Oculus.com/Stormland for more
stuttering about Facebook and Twitter? Should be pretty easy to say. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Because next up we've got a first look at a new game from publisher Raw Fury. A neo-noir detective drama featuring a Paris cabbie who finds himself drawn into a
Double
world
check,
of crime.
make sure we're still streaming.
Sacré Roddy Bleu. Yes, I speak French. I can't wait for this one, so let's take a ride with the trailer.
I'm kind of double checking posts that are happening every time a new video happens on Twitter. It is just updating like crazy, which probably means there is a lot of what's on Steam games that are just getting missed. It seems like anything that from any Twitter account that gets a lot of follows or tweets will take up my feed more than something like what's on Steam, which is a Twitter account that may have a decent number of followers, but nothing compared to like PC Gamer or like Eurogamer or something. This music is making these visuals a lot more interesting than they actually are. But that presentation actually showed nothing.
You'll definitely love our next one. It's from the exact same publisher, Raw Fury. It's an open-world, narrative-focused game with an incredible art style. Let's take.
I don't know why these tiny, small companies that I've never heard of are deciding to announce or release or try to be a publisher of 2 or 3 games at the same time. That's Sable, S-A-B-E-L, I guess. I'm pretty sure I've seen this trailer before. Or maybe I've seen something very similar. The art style here for this game seems to be shifting a little bit. Sometimes because of the lighting it feels rather flat and almost like a comic book art style, and then other times it seems to gain a level of shadows and shading that gives it a 3D art style, which is a little disconnected. And see, this kind of art style is not your standard art style, so a lack of consistency is a lot easier for me at least to see. LE instead of
Joining me to talk about Sable is pretty much the entire core development team on stage. It's
two
Daniel
people.
Feinberg and Greg Kithriotis. I want to immediately.
So two people made two games and are releasing them or announcing them at the same
Sable
time.
is an open world desert exploration game. It's not a game about combat or about leveling up. It's a game about solitude, and it's a game about exploration. You play
So,
as Sable,
like,
a girl
the screen you're now seeing, the footage you're seeing, is brightly lit, it's cartoony looking, it looks very, very different from the darker, more shaded sections. This also seems very monotone in its colors to make it look more cartoony and comic bookish. Now, this cutscene, as soon as he's in shadow or just not brightly lit, it looks like it was colored by a completely different colorist.
From the very beginning, we knew that we really needed to nail the visual style. And
I don't think they're nailing a visual style.
and sort of effort into our rendering system, and yeah, we're really pleased to be able to show it to everyone.
Again, you go back to brightly lit.
Consist of most of the core development, the art and the programming. What about the music? That was
I'm playing Borderlands 2 right about now, and even then, they have Pandora, the planet you're on, as a planet with like two suns, specifically, so it never really goes dark. But there are times when it gets dusk and dawnish, so even when that happens, it is pretty disjarring, the feeling. It doesn't feel like it adds much.
So they can go to our Twitter account, ShedWorksReg and ShedWorksDan, or to sablegame.com.
Lovely, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining me. Once again, the name of the game is Sable. Our next title is one that has been in development, even showing up in our very first PC gaming show. It's Cloud Imperium Games still hard at work on their title, Star Citizen. Let's see what they have in store.
So, how long has the PC gaming show been going on? Is it 2, 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5? I don't think it could have been much more than that. Maybe 8. Kind of, the question is, how long has Star Citizen been in development? But E3 is certainly growing and not shrinking, when arguably I would say maybe it should shrink. A lot of these links are also opening to... Look at this, Valve just partnered with Perfect World to bring Steam to China. Great. That's probably very, very good for Valve. It's a weird time to announce that, but okay. Getting Steam in China helps fight the cheap Chinese knockoff of Steam that is enjoying it right now. And I'm very biased in saying that, certainly, but and once Steam is actually in China, then it's only a matter of getting the actual games, the actual AAA games available to Chinese citizens instead of the cheap Chinese knockoffs of those games too. Of course, this also is a double-edged sword, because it means that once Steam becomes more popular in China, you're going to end up
now your host, Sean Plott.
having more cheap Chinese games released on Steam once the Chinese market grows.
Join me in talking about it is the senior brand manager from Acer. It's Eric Ackerson. Thanks for joining me up here, Eric.
Sean, really excited to be here.
Now,
like, I'm not sure. I guess I would see if the starter edition
right now we're developing
for
some
For Honor is free
particularly in the
on
display space. We want to take the experience to the next level. To help
free
with
on
that, one of our new
Steam.
products is the Predator X27.
I'll download it
It's an
then.
incredible gaming display. For instance, it's 4K and 120 hertz refresh. The users can overclock to 144. But what really takes it over to the next level is the inclusion of G-Sync HDR.
You know, I hear a lot about HDR. Can you explain a little more in detail what that is and what that means?
Well, there's quite a bit that goes into it, but for the purpose of this conversation, the fact that there are
The Witcher
384
franchise is up
individual
to 85%
backlit zones,
off.
so the backlighting can be
I'd love
individually
if
controlled. Really
people
bright,
wanted
very
to
dark. It makes a better
gift
contrast
that
on screen.
entire
Each of them are
bundle.
individually
20% for the
brightness
Witcher
of the
3
screen
Game of
is
the Year
far
edition.
above a typical display. Typical, you're looking at
$12
300 to
for the
400
Wild
nits. We're looking
Hunt
at 600
expansion
with the Predator
pass.
X27 with a max of 1,000
And
nits.
I already own
Some of the
Witcher
titles that
1,
were
2,
showcased,
and
just now, there's a wide variety of some photorealistic,
the
some with a really
enhanced edition
iconic art
director's
style. How does
cut.
HDR contribute to that big range we see in gaming?
Well, one of the big things that helps is the
I already
color
own
gamut
Witcher
that's
3
available with
too,
these displays.
however, I was
We're
just,
able to do
I
99%
got it through
of the
good old
Adobe color
games.
gamut. So it's better representing the vision of the art director.
Yeah, and some of the games that you see on screen that support HDR, Mass Effect Andromeda, Far Cry 4, Ni no Kuni 2. Again, you won't see them in HDR right now unless you have an HDR monitor. It doesn't work that way. We can't just stream it to you. But, you know, it brings me to one of my next questions about PC gamers have a huge
you can try to stream HDR colors, it just won't look right, and it won't be actually HDR.
The gamut from very simple and to the point to high performance esports products or multi-view surround multi-display products, but we also go really crazy sometimes. We put our engineers to the test. What can you do if you have no limit? So one of the projects we've worked on is something called the Predator 21X. This is a 21-inch curved screen laptop with a mechanical keyboard and two graphics cards. Science, materials. We did a really good thing. But you know what? To be serious, not just to joke, we actually have to ship this with a Pelican case to protect the laptop, and it sells for $9,000. And we sold every single unit we could make. So we cover every spectrum of gaming.
You know, you brought up this Predator laptop, you brought up the Predator monitors at the start of this segment. Where can people go to hear more about or even pick one up once they stop being sold out?
So that's the good news is that we're shipping now. Our customers, partners are selling
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is available October 4th according to
I believe
Steam.
Micro Center is still in stock. Amazon will be in stock again soon.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on stage, Eric. Frankie is awaiting in the balcony.
Wow, it's pretty easy to shop as a PC gamer. Just go to the Steam phone page.
For crazy ideas. In our next game, Genesis Alpha 1, you build and manage a space vessel, farm resources, deal with terrifying alien infestations, and explore a vast, randomly generated universe.
Genesis.
Oh, and you can take DNA from the aliens you encounter across the galaxy, splice them with members of your crew to create new life forms. Just a typical day at the office. Let's take a look.
Greetings, Commander. You have been sent to Quadrant Alpha 1. The mission is to find a new home for the crew on board of this ship. Expand your ship and explore the galaxy for resources and interesting new life forms. Feel free to experiment with DNA and alien abilities to maximize crew efficiency.
When did 2 Point Hospital get mentioned? Must have been at some point. The game Satisfactory, I guess, is just an Infinifactory ripoff. So, I don't know if you'd really want to play that game.
Now, if you didn't catch the pre-show quiz, you might be wondering who my buddy is. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Webster from Drake's Cakes. one of the PC Gaming Show's sponsors this year, and he's got a cool competition for you.
This was really weird.
Giveaway.
Like,
Oh, yes.
when I
PAX
saw
is
the
a
lineup.
gathering of PC and tabletop games, concerts, panels, exhibits, and tournaments. It's like a 4-day LAN party festival.
Win a trip to
workshop, and
PAX
concert
West
rolled into one.
via Drake's
The
case.
very lucky winner will enjoy a trip to PAX West, including 2 tickets and a free trip to Seattle. So if that's you, hit me up on those dates, because I am free. Webster, my man duck, this is very generous of you indeed. And by entering, guys, you will get a discount code.
Why is
to
it
get
a
your hands
duck?
on some delicious Drake's cakes available on Amazon.
Then
And if
answer
you're at
that
E3
question.
itself, don't forget you can meet Webster
So,
in person.
Hi-Res Studios is the developer of Realm Royale and Paladins and Smite. And so they've got like, and Tribes Ascend. They've got several free-to-play games right now that they're promoting.
And enter now for a chance to win and hang out with Webster. All right, Webster, all this hosting has got me a bit peckish. How about we look at a trailer for the next edition of Clay Entertainment's beloved survival series, Don't Starve, Hamlet.
It's called Don't Starve Tablet. Which is probably just a tablet version. There's definitely a decent amount of games getting announced. Hamlet. I misheard it.
Our next title is the next installment in a series
That was
never
my
fails
second
to
thought.
Make me laugh. It's Just Cause 4, and they have a brand new engine to bring the level of delicious insanity one notch up. Let's take a look at what the Apex engine in Just Cause 4 can really do.
Apex engine.
I was planning to never out myself, or at least wait until I moved out to do so. But last month in April, my mom has found my YouTube.
Oops, sorry. Clicked on the video, didn't realize it was playing. One of those YouTube creators for change.
Joining
Tweets.
me to talk about it on stage now from Avalanche Studios, it's Francesco Antolini.
That was not much of a trailer.
Welcome. Talk to me about the tornado.
It's fantastic, isn't it? So it's a very nice piece of tech. It's not just beautiful, but thanks to Apex, it's also a bad boy that actually works. It's fully physicalized.
Yeah.
This means that it's roaming the world, wreaking havoc, and
It's not just like a background piece. It's actually impacting the world
This
before
is
you.
Just Cause, man. You go there and you play with it. Yeah.
You know, throughout the trailers that I've seen, it seems to be a lot of different environments that are available throughout. Can you talk to me about those?
Yeah, I mean, one of the most important things to us with this installment of Just Cause was bringing a lot more variety into the game, and that extends to a lot of things, but certainly the biomes of the game. So instead of one kind of region of, like, say, southern Italy, like we had last time, now you have lush rainforests, deserts, grassland,
interesting.
even alpine
Like,
biomes,
there's a
all of which,
lot
render
of
beautifully
games.
in the new
I'm
Apex.
just,
Now, something that's
it's
very
just
important to me is
coming
my favorite
over me,
features.
and I'm just
Just Cause
realizing
3, can you talk to me
now,
about,
with
like,
the
wingsuit,
rather
grappling
long list of
hooks,
limited
are those
run
coming back
games
to Just Cause 4?
that are just really games going to PS4 and Vita or Switch, so I guess I could throw all of that. You still have probably 60 to 70 games between Ubisoft, Bethesda, EA, and Microsoft. And as I'm filling in this list of PC games, there's probably another 25 here. We're hitting, we're approaching 100 games probably. Just as the press conferences come, a lot of that I'm sure I could filter down to somewhere back down to maybe 75, but 75 is a lot. There's 52 weeks in a year, so if you played a new game every week, which is something I personally as a YouTuber try to strive to, but I don't succeed at most of the time.
Favorite IPs. I can't wait for Frankie to talk to you about The Walking Dead.
So, like, that's not really realistic. We're seeing somewhere closer to 3, maybe even 4 years worth of games that have been announced.
Here's the first gameplay footage for Overkill's The Walking Dead.
But
keep your eyes peeled for the release date at the end.
Sure, a lot of these games may never come out. Sure, a lot of these games may come out in 2 years or 3 years, maybe even 4. But it seems like a lot even at that. What does next year's E3 look like? Is it rehashing half of these?
We were so many things.
Half of these games? Are we going to get trailers again?
Doctors and teachers, writers and architects.
This one's being published by Starbreeze Studios, which I believe has published quite a few things. I guess I could look that up.
Every day we fight for more than survival. We fight to build a new life.
Yes, Starbreeze Studios is now Starbreeze Publishing,
Alone,
and
weak.
Published Payday 2, and I think they actually made Payday 2.
But together, we might stand a chance.
Dead by Daylight, Inked.
And I have more good news for fans of The Walking Dead. Overkill's game for The Walking Dead, of course, coming soon, but we have a second completely different
They're gonna put
game
Walking
that we're
Dead
getting a chance
things
talk
back
about
to
right
back.
now. This is Telltale's The Walking Dead, the final season. Joining me on stage to talk about it is the lead writer, James Windler, and the voice of Clementine herself, Melissa Hutchison. Thanks for joining me.
What is it called? Final?
Now, I want to ask right away.
Boy, does Clementine look different than her voice actor, but that's typical.
What's some of the familiar and what's some of the new?
Okay, so for people who don't know Telltale, we are a story-based company. We focus on narrative. We've had our roots in the old-school point-and-click adventure games, but we've developed our own cinematic style.
But they're not doing point-and-click adventure games really anymore, because you really don't even have much of an inventory or are able to use items on other items or try to use items on other items.
Traditionally, like combat and action, we've done with QTEs and like swipes and button mashes and all of that. This year, with the final season, we're introducing segments of unscripted combat.
Yeah, we see some of this right here.
Yeah.
So
probably just brutalize
the thing about Telltale is their engine is not getting a lot of development on it because they were just so overbooked and they signed up to do so many jobs and flooded the market with too many games of the similar style of gameplay.
Graphic black art style that we're employing.
It's a little weird too, though, because Clementine, depending on how you ended the story in the previous game,
where does The Walking Dead the final season start off?
kind of wrapped up her story one way or the other.
Clementine has been on the road for a long time. We are post time jump in the comics. She's been on the road. She's traveling with AJ, who is.
So there's like a time jump, I guess, from what happened in the last game.
But they're reaching the end of it. They are like running out of steam on the road. It's like proving to be untenable. The final season, Clementine.
So I don't know how this ends without Clementine dying, no matter what.
Where there are no adults,
I mean,
and essentially
either Clementine dies, or the zombie apocalypse gets cured, or they find a actual safe place that proves to be 100% safe always. And in the Walking Dead universe, there is nothing like that. So
adults coming in representing external threats that she's going to have to deal with.
Now, Melissa, I want to ask what your experience has been like, because it's rare to have, you know, a voice actress journey along.
I guess the idea here is that they've gone full circle, where Clementine is now the adult, and she's taking care of a
we're not going to do math on air.
Yeah, we're not doing that. That's not happening right now.
a young male child, where there was a older male man at the very beginning of the game
deeper and deeper in love with her, and
that he was taking care of Clementine in the first Walking Dead, Telltale Walking Dead game. So it poetically comes full circle. Obviously, that's decent enough storytelling.
You know, you're going to be playing as
but I don't know how you don't kill her at the end. I think that has to happen.
How do you feel about the fact that this is the end?
Well, I mean, it's bittersweet. I'm super sad. I'm super psyched. You know, of course, it'll be sad to end her journey, but I'm really looking forward.
It still feels like they could probably do another time jump and make another Walking Dead if they wanted to.
Crush it.
They could also.
Sad but happy. It's all very confusing. I'm a very confused.
This could be like the final season because seasons stop happening on Earth because of some kind of like global warming. Could be something like that too, and then they could play with the name. But I think even Telltale, as their employees, they want to be done with The Walking Dead. They want to take some time. They want to fix their engine and make it realistic. Honestly, they probably should jump from their engine just to Unity or Unreal.
You just trying to kill me. Don't let the retro art style fool you. Noita is set in a procedurally generated world.
How is that spelled?
Is physically simulated. Let's take a look.
I've seen a lot of these Terraria-esque games. With the pixel graphics, and then you're jumping around and either fighting a small amount of enemies or fighting other players. And visually they look rather boring. I believe this is probably one of those that I may have seen already and ignored for its kind of boring look. So they can cast different kinds of spells. Noita, N-O-I-T-A.
Our next title is one that's very near and dear to my heart, as it is the spiritual successor.
That game would not get on my wish list. It just does not look visually appealing to me.
Joining me to talk about it are the two founders of 2 Point Studios to talk about 2 Point Hospital. Join me in welcoming
okay,
Dr.
2 Point
Weber
Hospital.
and Dr. Carr. Wow. Great suits. I mean, I gotta
Now,
ask,
2 Point Hospital is the spiritual successor of.
Wait, oh my gosh, is the stethoscope eliminating your microphone? Oh, you know what? We do this every year. Come here, talk to me.
Okay.
How do we run a hospital?
So 2 Point Hospital is a game about designing and building your own hospital. It's
Talk directly at my tie.
Yeah, you said don't talk there.
Yeah.
I got to look out here, you said.
Yeah, no, just look straight at the ground.
There's a lot of customization. There's...
It's just, this is terrible.
I'll carry on then. Yeah, a lot of customization, a lot of different characters.
Day 9 should have just taken it off of his tie and held it in front of him, and then held it like a microphone.
Cures for them. And you have fun in 2 Point County exploring different regions and curing people with different ailments. And
so the thing about 2 Point Hospital is I think they have crazy ailments, and it's kind of a strategy game. It's based on a popular other hospital series. I can't remember the name.
So you can unlock new wonderful cures.
I think maybe it was called Animal Hospital or something. I don't think it was.
Great. I was a bit backfilling.
Yeah, so I mean, no, tell me about it. Like, what is the sort of late game sort of experience that you'll be playing through? Because this looks like it's quite deep into the running of a hospital.
Yeah, this is later on. So you start off and you're researching and you're training up staff, you're diagnosing illnesses, and you're hopefully curing them and making money, and then getting off.
I see this malady. Yeah, I see this malady called turtle head. Can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yes. It's when the head becomes so shrunken it gets stuck in the neck orifice, just pops out slightly, and it has to be extracted. And Mark, how's it get extracted? This is something you've maybe we've all been there. I know. This is one where a little bit of suction always helps. And
so the ailments.
And out it comes. Yeah. Now we had to research how to do that. That's actually a real illness. It is. It's real. England.
Now I had to ask about something
so
that I think every
it's kind of
man has to deal with at some point. What is a monobrow infestation?
Yeah. Well, monobrow is
so there's a bunch of fake ailments, but they're obviously scripted and written. It's not just a random generation of names and text.
And you might shed a bit of hair, and in fact, it will actually leave the body, and it needs to be got rid of before the health inspectors arrive.
It looks like the monobrows are multiplying in the hospital.
They breed they're big breeders. The monobrows. They like monobeasts. They like dirty
But
places.
this is kind of just a.
Disgusting. So you've got to keep your hospital clean and well maintained. Otherwise,
this is really just like a Sims game for the most part.
How the game evolves over time, because Theme Hospital was very mission based. How does
Theme Hospital was the name of
change as the game goes on?
Previous
so
game.
Once you started your first hospital, it's
this game is way too overhyped, and people are talking about it way too much.
Regions. There's a cold region. There's warm regions with.
I think most gamers probably won't play 2 Point Hospital, and even if they do, I don't think they're going to play it for very long or be super excited about it.
Weird effects can happen.
Whereas PC Gamer, in particular, loves 2 Point Hospital and has written dozens and dozens of articles about it since it was ever originally announced.
Well, I'd love to know more information about when.
It's kind of funny. PC Gamer has a.
We're coming up to fall, and you can check us out by going onto our Steam page and hopefully wish listing.
They have their own podcasts, and people who are editors and writers for PC Gamer's website. So why are those people not asking questions or having any involvement whatsoever in this presentation? Why are they hiring somebody completely different like Day 9? I think the answer is probably because PC Gamer is owned by a much bigger corporation. I'm pretty sure they are. I think maybe PC Gamer and Rock Paper Shotgun are owned by the same corporation, and so this presentation we're looking at right now is under the PC Gamer name, but really only a name. I doubt the actual website PC Gamer has any or much involvement.
Joining me to talk about Realm Royale is the executive producer at High Res Studios. It's Rory Newbrough, aka Dry Bear. Mr. Dry Bear, what separates Realm Royale?
Some of these games were already
Good question. So before you go up into the air to determine where you land on the map, you'll actually choose from a list of fantasy classes like mage or hunter or assassin and specify a unique play style before you land.
How do these different classes work?
So the engineer will be more about bunkering down, putting up shields, putting down turrets. The assassin will get behind the lines using stealth, use a sniper rifle to take out targets, and the warrior will just jump in there throwing axes and being crazy.
And, you know, in some of the streams that I've watched, it also seemed like there were abilities, not just the loot and find stuff. Can you talk to me about how the ability mechanics work?
Once you choose a class, it'll come with a set of abilities, and you'll actually be upgrading these during the match, but it specifies your play style. And so as you're looting,
this has been going along, it feels like. Feels like it's been an hour and a half, if not longer.
Really specify.
And, you know, you mentioned this a little bit. I've seen it on stream. Talk to me about crafting.
Seems like it's going to try to just go all the way to the
We're really excited about this. So
Sony press conference. That's the next one, the big one.
And so once you go to the forge, you'll collect shards from disenchanting loot you find as you're going about.
And
you'll use these shards to
if you were a journalist at E3, so far, you've only had a few hours in between all these presentations to actually go on the show floor or take meetings and or do interviews or gain any new information or different information. So these presentations and these streams have certainly taken over and destroyed the point of being in the convention center, which is to actually be face to face. All of these presentations could have been done just online and handed to all to everybody. The reason for reporters to be at E3 is to have private interviews.
And it's a farming and creature collecting indie inspired by Pokemon, Harvest Moon, and Animal Crossing. This fresh trailer features a first look at their unique combat system, along with plenty of cute ooblets and environments.
Ooblets.
Let's take a gander.
OOBLETS. There's a couple of games that are Pokemon-esque. So they dance instead of fight. Shame Nintendo didn't think of that. It'll be interesting to find out if there's even 150 different variants of ooblets in the game. And it seems like you run around and your guys are jogging behind you, your ooblets. Also, at some point there's seemingly some kind of meat grinder you throw them into. And the ooblets seem to grow from a farm, so maybe there's like a genetic splice that, like crossbreeding.
Now, it wouldn't be a PC gaming show without a dash of strategy, which is why I'm delighted that we get the chance to share with you the next in the Anno games. Let's take a look at Anno 1880.
Anno, A-N-N-O. Which I think they're running out of 8 games numbers that they can use because they're all supposed to add up to What would that be? 17? That doesn't feel right. Sony's stream.
Joining me on the stage to talk about it is the executive producer, Burkhard Rathheiser, and community developer, Bastian Thun.
Let's see. See, the conference will be happening at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
I want to begin right away
so
by asking,
8.
For people who haven't seen or experienced the Anno series, what are these types
So
of
maybe I'll get an hour and a half of a break.
Well, Anno 1800
in between this, I need it.
A PC only real-time strategy game, and it's kind of mixing city building together with economic simulation and naval warfare. And at its core, it's a sandbox game, so you have a vast amount of freedom to explore the world and build huge cities.
And I wonder if you could talk to me a little bit about why the choice of the 19th century for this game.
Well, the 19th century it's such an interesting and rich era. There was so much happening in this era. So we had 2 industrial revolutions. We had major scientific inventions. And also big social changes, and also the creation of the big imperial empires. So it's a really rich era.
And what are some of the elements that we'll get to see from the 19th century in Anno 1800?
So
the Anno series is
well, basically you start with the first.
I think it's one of those games that's just a little too long.
Kind of a
to
journey
like
through
one
time
gameplay
settings, so
takes
kind of you explore
hours and hours and
everything
hours,
that kind
but
of happened in
you
this rich
probably
era.
want to play it more than once to get the full enjoyment out of it.
Take on how to work with the community, how to gather feedback. I was wondering if you could talk to me about what is Anno Union.
So last year at Gamescom, when we actually revealed the game, we decided on, you know what, it's pre-alpha, revealed the game. We invited the community to basically become a member of our development team. So we launched our Anno Union platform. It's a place where we give constant weekly.
It's a very consistent theme this year about companies saying, hey, let's have you do some work for us and make our game better for free.
Different stuff we did. So like from feedback we got on our blogs and focus playtests where invited players. We got so much great feedback, which had to completely rebalance the mid and late game of the game. Also, we heavily expanded on core features of the game based on feedback. We said like, okay, that really seems to work. Players like that, so okay, let's do it like improve the quality a little bit even more.
Yeah.
But they can also vote on actual game content. So we had a big vote for an AI opponent in the game, for a community creation contest where they could create their own island and stuff like this.
And I understand that some of this footage that you're sharing right now is pieces that people can go to anno-union.com and vote on right now.
Exactly. So right just in time for E3, you can go to anno-union.com, check out, we have a vote up where you can vote on one of 5 ships in the game. And that's only the first stage, because in the second stage, we will allow you to design your own ship variant.
Browsing the internet
vote,
now.
Then you can design, hand in your own design nodes, drawings, 3D models, whatever you
If
like.
you're not interested in Anno,
Contest will actually make it into
now is a good time to
Now, where is the website
check
that you can
out.
go to again to get the most information?
Again, I think
right
PC
now?
Gamer's
just check out
website
anno-union.com.
is
That's basically our big community
particularly a little
platform, and we
obsessed
want
with
to invite
Anno series.
especially strategy gamers,
They're
PC
pretty
gamers out there
obsessive
to come
in
help us
general.
developing the
They
game,
talk
sharing
about the same
feedback,
things over and over again.
thank you for joining
I
me on
don't
stage
know
to
if that
talk
is a
about
very
Anno
aggressive
1800.
just
Our next
search
title
engine
is the final
optimization
battle
effort
royale
to
of the night, and Frankie is going to be talking about it, and it's a little bit maybe not what you'd expect.
so they just talk about whatever
Publisher Tinyville
is really
known for
popular,
discovering distinctive indie developers and bringing their quirky ideas to the
or
fore,
if they're just
which
really
helped attract
obsessive and
speedrunners and Hello Neighbor among their catalogue of
not
hits. And now I'm delighted to be able to bring you the
Not
world exclusive
varied
reveal of a
enough.
game developed by Galvanic Games in cooperation with Explosion. Inspired by the Cyanide and Happiness webcomic, Rapture Rejects is Battle Royale as you've never seen one before, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not. Top-down, isometric, cartoony, and basically bonkers. Let's take a look at what happens when the man upstairs makes an epic fail and only beams up the bad people. Introducing Rapture Rejects.
Rapture Reject. Not Rapture. There was already a Tiny Build series.
Dear God, every day I strive to be closer to your light. I pray that when Judgment Day, that most holiest of days, comes upon us, when you bring all the good people to heaven, that I may live in eternal glory by your side. Amen.
Thanks, brah.
That's... Of course, the irony here is that
Smell you later, you old
It's Rapture Rejects with an S. Okay. Like, a true religious believer would simply feel like they were being tested if they saw that scene, so they would never stop acting
Our final game that we will be showcasing this
piously.
evening is from perhaps the most famous stealth action franchise in gaming, the Hitman series. Let's take a look at a brand new trailer from Hitman 2.
Hitman 2. So as interesting as the Rapture Rejects video may have been, that's not really the game you're gonna be playing. It's just gonna be a probably pretty basic and simple game. And I don't think you can go less more basic than Fortnite as far as the graphics. I don't think top down 2.5D. I don't think any of that is going to work for Battle Royale modes. No isometric gameplay. So the thing we want to know about Hitman 2 is it going to be a single player experience, or is it going to be a stretched out across the course of a year experience like Hitman 1?
Joining me to talk about Hitman 2 is game director from IO Interactive, Jacob Mickelson. Join me up here, Jacob. Come on out, we gotta talk. Assassination.
Hey, Sean.
Welcome, Jacob. Thanks for joining me. I mean, right away, tell me, what is Agent 47 doing in Miami?
Well, he's there to pay a visit to Sharon Robert Knox, who are part of the Kronstadt Empire. And yeah, we all know how that ends, right?
Well, given that it's a Hitman game, I have some hints. And, you know, I always felt like in the Hitman games, the environment was so critical, trying to study and trying to understand it. What are some of the elements in Miami that will show up in Hitman 2?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Miami is, I think it's one of the biggest events we've ever created in the game. And in Miami, we have, of course, the race as the centerpiece.
Yeah.
But being this super high detailed sandbox, we also go to great lengths to actually create all the surrounding bits and pieces, like you have here, backstage area. Of course, we also have that in Miami. So pits and paddocks, there's an emergency
Not really
room,
paying
and so on.
attention.
So all the facilities needed in order for you to kind of make your own way through the mission and take advantage
Some of these big games
and all the different disguises and items you stumble upon as you move in.
are just
targets.
And in terms of mechanics, I know that there's going to be a lot of the
things we've already
feels,
seen,
but
so
what are some of the brand new mechanics that are in Hitman?
Yeah, some of the new stuff
So
is,
I'm kind of
for
not-
instance, the crowds we saw here in
not
Miami.
super
First of all,
excited
they're more
in
than
seeing
ever. We're close to
seeing
2,000 people now in
their
attendance, and on top of that, we also
trailers.
introduced
I
a
want to
new crowd
hear
mechanic
more
where you
information.
can dip into the crowd if you get in trouble.
And
So as long as they are not,
very often in press conferences, all they're doing is putting flashy pictures and distractions up and not addressing the actual information that they don't want people to know. They want to build hype without actually saying any facts,
And last but not least,
or,
we have
which is
fan favorite,
dishonesty.
Right.
Which is the sniper briefcase is back, but this time it's not only for sniper rifles, it's also for all the other things.
Lemon
you want to
Lover's
carry
on the
around
chat saying, Rydo.
attention to yourself.
Hey,
And I
Lemon
wanna ask
Lover.
about some of the weapons and the disguises that have been
We're
showing
watching
up
the
throughout
PC
this trailer.
gaming show, and then I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we go to great
leave the
lengths. I
stream
think
going,
the,
and
the,
then
the theme of this showing is going to be the fish. It's
Sony
really,
plays.
it's a studio
Sony
favorite.
stream is going to be
We're
happening
having a lot of laughs
around 6 p.m. Pacific
And
Daylight
of course, we
Time.
just saw it in the kitchen as a frying pan, so we all know the kitchen is the most dangerous room in your house, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
Also counts in Hitman.
And I want to ask about some of my
It's
favorite
been a long day.
content in
I'm
Hitman, things
sort of
like
exhausted.
exclusive targets, limited time events. Will those be
Also,
making
I
a
have
comeback?
some
Absolutely. So there's still gonna
Hearthstone.
be
I think I
things
still
you kind of
probably
change
want
the
to
game in
play.
many different ways. There's going to be
So I'll have to try and see if I can
again,
find some
new
time for
challenges,
that.
and then of course the elusive targets that
Although I
pop up
may end
for
up
a short period of time only, and you have one shot at
streaming
this, or
tomorrow too, so maybe
As
we'll
my
play some
final
Hearthstone then.
question, the expected question: when does Hitman 2 come out?
Hitman 2 comes out November 13, and if you pre-order right now, you also get access to a new game mode called Sniper Assassin, where you get to play as Agent 47, and also, for the first time in the franchise, you can play along with a friend in the co-op mode.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much for coming out. I'm super looking forward to Hitman 2.
Thank you.
I might be the worst Hitman ever, but I try hard. Now, Jacob, I'm going to thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to escort you off to the right. So you're going to rush off this way, because coming in from the left, for the first time ever, vaguely nearby me, it's the co-host,
He's not
Frankie.
even
Come here, Frankie.
saying stage left.
Let me come down from the balcony for good behavior.
Excellent. Well, Frankie, we did it.
We
the
did.
PC Gaming Show is done. Thank you so much for joining us to host this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for all of you who came out to the Will Turn and joined us.
Still
today.
rather
It was a
questionable why
blast.
they had
Thanks to Twitch chat. I know that everything you
these
said was
people
appropriate and
present
intelligently
instead of
thought out.
people who actually run
And of
PC
course,
Gamers
this year we're curating even
magazine
more
or
great
PC
games
Gamers
Facebook booth
website.
in E3 South Hall. Last, and of course not least, a huge thank you to all our wonderful
Of
sponsors
course,
who let the PC Gaming Show come back for a fourth
maybe
straight
this
year.
is all they could afford, because
Hi-Res Studios, Digital Extremes, Archangel Hellfire, Team 17, Stardock Entertainment, Acer, Predator, Improbable, Oculus Rift, Drake's Cakes, Tripwire, Frontier Developments, and Square Enix. We hope you have a wonderful E3 and go play some damn video games. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.